Hot Mike with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mike.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something. Is
Hot Mike. Hot Mike. On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo. Dom Izzo.
Good Friday morning. This is the final edition of Friday in January of Hot Mike on WDAY Extra and InForum.com, which seems crazy. It feels like literally yesterday we were in Frisco doing the show on a Friday, and now here we are, and we're wrapping it up. If that doesn't tell you exactly how different the weather is today, those different tower cam shots can tell you. It's sunny in Wapaton, it's overcast and gloomy in DL, and the Clipper came through, and it brought the wind. It didn't bring as much snow, at least to this part of the region, thankfully, and now it's just going to be bone-chilling cold for the indeterminate future. So that's all we got. So buckle up. That's all we got. You know what? That's a good question. But I can get on that. We got a new toy. Eric can now talk on the air. So we're trying. So go ahead, buddy boy. Go ahead and tell everybody what you just told me.
Where's your Serenity Now headset sign?
What did you do with it? You were in here last. There we go. Always good to remind ourselves on that. We got a new toy, so this is scary. We'll test this out throughout the show, and it'll be fun. I have to remind myself of that the entire time. Welcome to our Friday Spectacular. We got a busy show on tap for you as we are ready for the big game tonight. Of course, it's on WDAY. Reminder of that for NDSU and UND men's basketball, 7 o'clock tonight, as the old rivals are set to go at it. Bison men trying to snap a 2-game home losing skid. UND off a loss on Monday to Western Illinois, looking to get back in the win column. They've won just one Summit League game. It should be it always is a really tight game, and I expect that'll be the case again tonight. The Bison men won with ease in Grand Forks on December the 30th, and this is one of the social media posts going out there. Apparently, their Bison are encouraging fans to wear gold. I'm interested, honestly, in the crowd tonight because I'm a proponent of playing on Fridays. Most college Division I hoops do not play on Fridays. The mid-majors do, and if the Summit is hoping to get some television exposure, which would be well for everybody, then play on Fridays is maybe the way to go about doing that. So we'll see. Hopefully we got a great environment, and you'll be able to see the game coming up tonight on WDAY. Now, as for the rest of the Summit League, they played last night. And this reminder that we have no idea who's going to make it to Sioux Falls intact and have a chance to win this whole thing. Last night proved that, and then some. Let's show you in Macomb again. Monday night, we saw Trenton Masner go crazy. He had 46 points, delivering Western Illinois a win over UND. Last night, South Dakota came to Macomb, and it was a barn burner to the very end of this game. We'll pick it up late here. I apologize. The web feed out of Macomb is not great. South Dakota missed a chance to take the lead. So you can see plainly, we're under 10 seconds to go. Masner's got the ball. Huge crowd at Western last night. Down to 5. Masner pulls up and drills it at the buzzer and gives Western Illinois a 75-72 win. He had half of what he had on Monday, just 23, but it was good enough. And Western Illinois, look out for the Leathernecks here. They got to 6-4 in league play with the win last night. We'll give you the rest of the league standings in a second because we got to show you what happened in St. Paul. But Western's now 10-2 in Macomb with wins over NDSU, USD, UND. They have beaten in Macomb. The Jacks still have to go there if I remember correctly. Yeah, obviously the Jacks are going there on Saturday, because that's their travel partner. Oral Roberts still has to go in there. So Western's is going to give somebody some issues here. They come up here. They're the finale for the Bison. The men are against Western Illinois coming up at the end of February, about a month from now. While that happened last night, then in St. Paul, South Dakota State was facing St. Thomas. And you talk about another team that is tough to beat at home. The Bison have already lost in St. Paul. That happened right before Christmas, before NDSU turned things around and won 5 in a row. And last night, the Jackrabbits found out that winning ball games in St. Paul is going to be difficult going forward. And this is even before they get their $80 million palace that they have on tap here in a couple years. The Tommies, and we'll see them again. We're not going to see them till the end of February. But they have a top 100 recruiting class. They got 4 of the top players out of the state of Minnesota. That's one of them there, and Johnny Lee, who dunked that one. It's a tight game here in the second half. St. Thomas is up 2. Andrew Rohde, number 3, keep an eye on him. There's a great feed on the back door there to give St. Thomas a 4-point lead. Look at the ball movement there. In the corner, 3 is good. They're up 7 late in this game. They seal it here. Rohde, this is another one of their great finds. Off balance is good. They would hit their free throws down the stretch, and St. Thomas beats the Jackrabbits 60-54. That is the first win for St. Thomas over SDSU in any sport since their move up to Division I, which I know it's only been a year and a half, but the Tommies have not beaten the Jackrabbits in anything yet. Soccer, hoops, baseball, you name it. They had not beaten them in anything, and they got the win last night. And SDSU had been rolling here. The Jackrabbits picked up 2 wins last weekend, and we're starting to trend in the right direction. And now they've got to go to Macomb on Saturday. SDSU had won 4 straight. Since they lost to the Bison, they had picked off UND, USD, Omaha, and Denver. And so they dropped one last night. So now here are the up-to-date standings on the men's side. And it's getting real interesting here. Oral Roberts squeaked by last night. They only beat Denver by 41 last night. 102-61 was the final. Oral Roberts over Denver. Kansas City beat Omaha. So the Roos have won a couple in a row. And we showed you what happened with Western and USD. So Oral Roberts clearly out in first. The Jacks are now a half game up on Western. And remember, they play each other on Saturday. Kansas City holds the 4th spot because they have the head-to-head tiebreaker on NDSU. How about that, folks? That's again hammering why we talked about why last weekend was so big for the Bison. They went all the way from 2 to 5 here in a week span. St. Thomas is a half game behind the Bison, then South Dakota, Denver, Omaha, and UND. So if we're looking right now, if the tournament were to start today, and I know it doesn't, USD, Denver, Omaha, and UND are playing on that first day to play either Oral Roberts and South Dakota State. The Bison would play Kansas City. That's not a great matchup for the Bison right now. Western would get St. Thomas. That would be intriguing. That's how things stand on them. And I said it last night on Twitter, and I'm going to stand by it. St. Thomas is going to beat somebody in Sioux Falls. I know they're not great on the road. They have been beatable away from St. Paul. But they've got the talent to sneak in there and knock somebody off. So those are the up-to-date standings on the men's side. On the women's side last night, almost everything held firm here. South Dakota State crushed St. Thomas. They won by 42, 99-57. Oral Roberts won on the road at Denver. USD beat Western. And Kansas City won on the road at Omaha. So, of course, the Bison and UND are set to play on Saturday. So SDSU is a clear, I'm going to say, I don't know if the Jacks are losing a regular season game. Much like the men's team did last year, I don't know if the Jacks are going to lose a conference game. The Bison sit second, now a half game ahead of USD. And remember, next Thursday, USD NDSU at the Shack. Come out for that one or watch on TV. Next Saturday, we've got the Jacks and the Bison. Oral Roberts now in the 4th spot. And remember, ORU is coming. ORU beat NDSU by 1 million. They beat UND, and now they just won last night on the road at Denver. Then it's UND at 5, Omaha in the 6th spot, Western, Denver, Kansas City, and St. Thomas. Honestly, folks, it is a top-heavy league here. I'll put UND in there for now, but that all depends on what happens tomorrow against the Bison. If the Bison go up there and beat UND, it's 4 teams and everything after that. As it stands here, again, we're still a ways away from tournament play. The Bison would play the winner of the Western St. Thomas game in the quarterfinals in Sioux Falls. South Dakota State would get the winner of the Denver-Kansas City game. South Dakota would get Omaha, and Oral Roberts would get UND, which I believe is a rematch that they played last year in the Summit League tournament, and Oral Roberts got them there. So that's how it looks right now on the women's side. It's SDSU and everybody else, and just like on the men, it's Oral Roberts and everybody else. And I get it. It's down to 3 days in Sioux Falls. That's where everything's going to come home to roost on this. But it's about positioning yourself to be in the best possible spot when you get there. And as it stands right now, Bison women are in a good spot. But as we talked about with Jory Collins yesterday, 5 of their last 9 are on the road. Starting tomorrow with a trip to Grand Forks. They still have to go to Brookings, or they get SDSU and USD here. They have a road trip still to Denver and Omaha. That's a toughie. They have to go to St. Thomas and Western. I know where they're at in the league standings, but right now, what has happened so far, teams are winning at home and winning convincingly at home. On the men's side, all the home teams won yesterday. On the women's side, it was a split. 2 road teams won and 2 home teams won. The Jacks and USD won at home yesterday, which, how often is it that those 2 teams lose at home? USD hadn't lost at home in 43 straight conference games until the Bison beat them. It had been, 8 years. Emily Banky told me this yesterday, and I'm going to share this. I'll share it now. She told me after the Bison beat South Dakota, she had tears in her eyes because she has been here, obviously now 3 years, and gone through some beatdowns. And she told me after that win that she had tears in her eyes after that victory. So if that doesn't tell you what that meant, there's not much I can say about that, or I can add to that. We are packed today. I really like our show lineup today. We're enjoying our Fridays. We get ready for the weekend. Logan Campbell will be by in her usual 9:20 time slot here in just a few minutes to get us ready for the weekend. Obviously, she'll be on the call tonight with myself and Greg Steeman of the Bison UND game. We'll visit with her about a bunch of stuff at 9:20. And 9:35, you'll meet the newest member of our WDAY sports team. And I say new, she's been here now 2 months, and we haven't had a chance to have her on. Rachel Herzog will join us, our WDAY weekend sports anchor, coming up at 9:35. We did have to change things up in the second hour. My dad will join us at 10. He loves that's a flattering photo. Plus, he's got his Patrick Mahomes shirt on. Normally, Dad does 10:35, but we had to move it. We talked with numerous people, his representatives, and we were able to finagle that. So he'll join us at 10 to give us our NFL projections and predictions for this weekend. And then at 10:35, you'll meet NDSU's new defensive coordinator, Jason Petrino. He was officially introduced yesterday up at the Fargo Dome. And you'll meet Jason about why he left SIU to come here, his thoughts on taking over a Bison defense that is depleted. There's no doubt about it, since NDSU has lost its entire secondary outside of Jaden Price, either through graduation or through the transfer portal. and what to expect from a Jason Petrino defense is maybe the best way to phrase that. So he'll join us coming up at 10:35. So packed show today. A lot to get to as we get ready to launch into the weekend and into the cold that's set to take over here for the next week or week plus. So there we go. We'll take a break. We're off and rolling here on this Friday morning. Glad you're joining us. Hot Mike returns after this on WDAY Extra at InForum.com. Don't forget tonight's Bison UND game on WDAY. We're statewide tonight for the matchup with the Fighting Hawks and the Bison. Dave Richmond will join me live at our 620 News tonight as well, and then we'll tip it off shortly after 7. Hopefully got a big crowd for the Fighting Hawks and the Bison. They're giving away like Buffalo Wild Wings or something. The promotions work. So last week, for the Oral Roberts game, they gave out the bucket hats.
I wanted one
Okay,
of those.
so I saw this tweet. Now, it's Jakari White with Damari Wheeler-Thomas in a Ferrari. Logan Campbell, what am I missing here? Are they being too clever for me, the old guy here?
No.
It's Jakari and Damari in a Ferrari.
In a Rari.
A what?
A Rari.
No,
But
it's a Ferrari.
I thought about it last night because it's something viral, but like I'm running on like 3 hours of sleep, so I can't think of it right now. But it was a good tweet by Wes. I think
What
that's
am I
who tweets it
missing?
out.
What do you mean Rari? Who calls it that?
That's just what it is, because that sounds weird if you say Ferrari. I don't know. Get with the times, Dom.
Yeah, okay. Good luck. Good luck on that. Yeah, theirs is the other. Can I tweet my seat to my where I'm at the press time or your? I don't know. Can we? Are we eligible to do this?
My mom is here. I'm gonna make her do this so I can get some. Yes, she's gonna be participating in this challenge. The bucket hats they gave out against Oral Roberts.
Did you get one?
No.
Yeah, I didn't get one either.
I wanted to ask. I was
got
like, that
there
might
early.
be kind of weird.
Email in, Dom, if the Jets are wanting to draft a quarterback, do you take a trade with Seattle for their pick at 5 in return for Quinnen Williams and your pick at 13? No way. Or do you make the same offer to Arizona at 3? No, I'm not giving up Quinnen Williams, Dave, from Minot. I appreciate that, but no, I'm not doing that under any sort of deal. He's their guy. I'm not. He's their best defensive player. Besides, we're getting Aaron Rodgers. Didn't you hear that?
Confirmed?
No.
Oh.
Well, the
Is
Jets,
that someone you'd want?
no, I don't want any part of it. No,
Okay.
I do not. I was I'm
You're on the
officially on the record on that if that happens, I'm not going to be a
Are
happy
we still on
camper.
the Zach Wilson train?
I am definitely not on that one either.
So who do you want then? I want Daniel Jones,
To
Washington.
what?
Yeah.
He's in the division. He plays for the Giants.
But isn't he a free agent this year?
Yeah,
I saw
yeah.
that Lamar Jackson actually posted a picture. He took that and posted it.
What?
In the black one.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know what's going on there. I would not be opposed to that.
Yeah, that's a significant upgrade for your favorite football team. That would not be all right.
Yeah.
I don't. Who do I want? Derek Carr, I'd be okay with.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
I don't know. It's recycle center. I'd even take Jimmy G because I know
I've always wanted
the coaching staff for the Jets used to obviously be in San Francisco. They know him. I would go down that road. I would take Trey Lance. If Trey Lance is available, which the rumor mill is out there that story came out, and Drew brought this up on Wednesday when he came on, and I think he's accurate, that somebody's representation let that out there. Either the 49ers are letting that known or Trey's people are letting that known.
I was actually going to ask you about this. I mean, if you're the 49ers, you go to the Super Bowl with Brock Purdy. There's no way you can't start him next year, right?
Correct.
So what does that mean for Trey Lance?
Well, if you're the 49ers, you can do two things. You can move him, or you can say, well, we've got a great backup if we're wanting to go down that road, like the Eagles did. But then look how it worked out the next year.
Yeah.
Like Carson got hurt again. Foles came in. They made the playoffs. They won a playoff game. And then the following year, it all blew up.
Mm-hmm. It'd be interesting to see.
They moved Foles after that. Somebody made this point. I forget who. I was listening to this yesterday, I believe, that the 49ers did this. It's not about making sure that we won that trade with the Dolphins. You're trading 3 1s It's about now.
Mm-hmm.
And they drafted Brock Purdy, and it's worked out. They're positioned to, even if they lose Sunday, I still think you go with him.
I think so too. I think it would be. I mean, he shows what he could do.
Yeah.
He hasn't lost yet.
No, he has not lost.
So that would be whenever they're done.
Would be the NFC Championship or the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think they could.
I think they're staying put with what they got. I don't know. It'll be fascinating to see what plays out there. I appreciate you coming in today because your whole world is blowing up.
My gosh,
because
yes.
you are doing one of the worst things that is to do, and that's move.
Oh my gosh.
And you're moving in January.
Yes, and it's the third time in a year and a half that I am moving, and I literally would never wish this upon my worst enemy. I hate moving.
Moving sucks for
I
you.
am bad
it's
at
terrible.
planning. I was somehow able to find an apartment in 2 weeks. Somehow able to pack all my stuff up.
I had somebody email the show wondering about that
Oh,
since the last
seriously?
time you filled
I found
in. So
it.
there you
I
go.
found an
There you
apartment.
go.
Thank you.
So,
I got
boom.
a few emails actually of people like telling me places I should look at, which is so nice. I found one. We're good. I'm not going to be homeless.
Boom.
So
I don't
good.
think anybody was worried about that.
Well, I was a little bit. My parents were a little bit. But
so now you're moving in the end of January.
Oh my gosh.
You
yes.
even drug your mom up here to do this. She
My
left
poor
lovely
mom.
Virginia to come up and
My
do
poor
this.
mom. Well, she offered, which was so nice. And I'm glad someone else in my family gets to experience a little bit of a North Dakota winter.
Okay, so none have come
No.
outside, like from November to March.
the
Nobody's
cutoff
come here.
is October. That's the last month they'll come. My mom's been here twice. She came when I first moved out here.
Yep.
Then she came for the South Dakota State football game.
So that was the middle of October,
Yep.
and that was still pretty nice then.
And then my dad came, I think actually last November, but it was when we had that warm week in November. So he was like, this is not bad. What are you talking about? I was like, you came the 1 week where it was nice.
Okay, how long is she staying?
Till Monday.
Oh yeah,
So
she's
she's gonna
get,
experience
she's gonna
it
get
all.
punched in the face with this.
Oh yeah. She hasn't been outside yet today. I walked outside. I was like, oh mom, you are gonna have a fun weekend with me.
And she's coming to the game tonight?
She's coming
All
to the
right.
game. So if you see my mom,
Awesome. There
say
we
hi.
go.
She's a nice lady. She will say hi back.
I bring this up, by the way, because I think you mentioned this in passing the other day, and I didn't pay attention. Not
Classic.
to what you said, but to what the context of what you said, because I looked in the Sun Belt basketball standings,
Oh,
and
yeah.
your James Madison Dukes are in first.
Roll Dukes. Wait, for men's or women's? I know for women's they're pretty good.
Women's.
Yeah.
The men, they're 5-4. They're 2 games back of first place there.
JMU is turning into a basketball school.
Is that a thing? Were they ever been good at hoops?
Well, apparently the other night they just lost. They were winning by like 20 last night and they lost.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently they got a new basketball arena.
They did.
I haven't.
Yes.
It wasn't done when I was there, but apparently it was like sold out last night. So
All right.
I don't know. They played UVA this year. It was pretty close.
They're 17-4 in women's basketball.
Yeah.
That's right
They're
now.
legit.
They are tied with Southern Miss and Troy. So you and Jamal can have some smack talk going on.
I know.
Here for the top. That's pretty good. That's really good. 17-4 is
A
nothing to
basketball
sneeze
school.
at there.
Who would have thought? Not me. And a football school.
Were they ever
Wow.
ready? So they weren't very good when you went there?
No.
Okay.
I did a few games and it was like blowouts every time.
So their losses this year are to Maine, North Carolina. Last time I checked, they're all right.
Yep.
They're 13th in the country. Georgia Southern, and they lost their last game to Coastal. So that's not bad.
Not bad.
That's all right.
Yeah, the JMU's building something
All
special over there.
What do you expect tonight? What do we think is going to happen? Let's first start tomorrow. We'll work our way back. Let's start tomorrow, then tonight. So tomorrow in Grand Forks, what do we think is going to go down?
Tomorrow in Grand Forks. I think. What did they do? Split last weekend? I can't even think
The
right
Bison
now.
women did split
Bison
last
women
weekend.
split
Yes.
last weekend. Oh, and
UND got swept
was-
last weekend on the road. In the
I
same
think we're going to
spots.
see a physical, emotional, close game. We saw that down here in Fargo. That was a really fun game to cover.
Yep.
Heaven and
Casey Barovich.
Casey Barovich
the matching
starting to get a
11s.
little bit
Yeah.
chippy. Yeah. I think we're going to see that tomorrow. I think it's going to be a battle to the finish, but I think that NDSU has just slightly more talent, slightly more grit. I think they'll be able to pull away.
UND's lost 8 in a row
8 in a row.
in this
I
series.
didn't know that.
8 in a row.
Oh,
So,
with
against
NDSU.
the Bison.
Oh, I
yeah.
thought you meant this
No,
season.
No,
I was
no,
like, oh,
they've
wow.
lost 8 in a row against NDSU, so they have not beaten Jory yet since he took over in
That's a lot of
April of
pressure.
2019.
A lot
well,
of
that's
pressure.
that's an easy way to win yourself over to the fans if you don't lose to UND.
Right.
And I'll say this, Mallory Bernard, she got emotional in the press conference on New Year's Eve. Like she's a former player, so I know how much this means to her to want to win. they're going to throw everything in the kitchen sink at the Bison tomorrow to win
Well,
this
something
game.
I love about both of those programs is they acknowledge the rivalry.
Yeah,
they talked about
no
it
doubt.
all leading up to the game.
Yep.
I'm sure they're talking about it now.
Yep.
So this game means so much to them, probably more than most programs here. So I think
I was up at practice yesterday. Taylor Brown got dinged up, turned her ankle in the game on Saturday at Kansas City. I asked Jory about it yesterday. It would probably take an act of God for her not to go up and play at least a bit in this game, but I'm interested to see how effective she will be. Meanwhile, obviously we got the men's game tonight. UND lost on Monday to Western. The Bison got swept last weekend. I don't think there's any shame in how they lost to Oral Roberts. I didn't think they played particularly well against Kansas City.
I would have to agree.
And that's what they need something better, way better tonight, because UND is going to come in here and they're going to play hard. We know that.
Yeah, for sure. And I was talking with some of the players. Josh Streit was telling me that the practices they had this week were super intense and super hard, and that's what makes everyone better, he said. And he said when they went on that 5-game win streak, that's what they were doing at practice. And when they lost last weekend, they let up a little bit at practice. So he said they're back to those intense, gritty practices, and he said that everyone looks sharp, looks good. So I'm expecting them to play better, hopefully, tonight than they did last weekend. But I guess time will tell, right?
Well, Eric, if we have a second, bring up the men's standings again, because I mean it's clear Oral Roberts is got number one,
and they're just so good,
sewed up. But after the Jacks lost last night to St. Thomas, and Western beat USD, so SDSU and Western play tomorrow in Macomb. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Kansas City now, all of a sudden, by the way, has leapt to the 4th spot because they won last night and they have the head-to-head. The Bison went from 2nd to 5.
That's what I was saying to Eric.
In a week span.
I said that to Eric yesterday. I was like, wait, wasn't NDSU number 2 before the weekend? That's just crazy.
That's why, I mean, the last month here is all about positioning yourself for Sioux Falls. And you want to stay, honestly, you want to stay out of that 4 or 5 spot, because if you win, you play Oral Roberts. Right. You want to stay as far away from ORU as you can.
Well, I think it's feasible for them to move back up to the 2 spot.
Absolutely. But they have to play better than what we got to see Grant Nelson just take over. Well, he took over half the game against Oral Roberts, and then he vanished in the second half. They need a complete game from him.
I was talking with someone random, and they said ever since that video went out of Grant, he's been really quiet. We haven't seen much of him. Granted, he played an amazing team, and then there hasn't been.
But you know what? He had an amazing first half, but then he had 2 points in the second half against Oral Roberts, and he was okay against Kansas City.
I think tonight we'll probably see the Grant Nelson show. I would think. We'll see.
You're a soccer nut. I just got this sent into me. The Copa America will very likely be in the United States in 2024. Multiple sources are telling ESPN. Why is that a big deal? Tell us why.
Copa America. I'm trying to think of which one. The CONCACAF is.
That's to get to the world. That's right. That's North and Central America.
Yeah, but that's
Copa America is South America, right? So this is like Brazil, Argentina.
Well, I mean, those are all like the elite programs coming here.
So they be playing in the United States. That's before the World Cup is here.
That's huge.
Okay.
My dad he was born in Brazil, grew up in Brazil. Okay. So I can guarantee he will try and drive me to one of those games, which I would love to do. We used to grow up going to the U.S. men's soccer games when they played in the CONCACAF.
That's cool.
When they played in Philly.
Yeah.
Got several beer showers there as well. It was hot, so I didn't mind it. I was also like 8, didn't really know what was going on. But yeah, that's really exciting, actually. I didn't know that just came out.
It just came in. ESPN reported this about 15 minutes ago.
2024?
It says, still a few potential obstacles, but this is on the doorstep. Big games ahead for the U.S. men's national team.
Well, I hope they play in the cities.
Well, that means, I would imagine they probably will try. I mean, Allianz Field is fantastic. I know they were disappointed they didn't get a World Cup site, but I would imagine they probably get something there because they like going there. Plus, the U.S. is undefeated when they've played there, too.
I called dibs on going there. They go.
All right. Thanks for coming by, as always.
Thanks for having me.
See you tonight. Logan Campbell joining us each and every Friday. We come back. We'll introduce you to the newest member of our WDAY sports staff. We got a surprise for her as well. We'll do that when Hot Mike returns right after this on WDAY Extra at InForum.com. Welcome back, everybody. Friday morning. It looks nice. That picture probably belies, actually, it's freaking cold outside. Welcome back. Friday morning edition. My dad's NFL picks coming up when we start hour 2. Jason Petrino, new NDSU defensive coordinator, also in our second hour. Each time we've added somebody onto our sports staff, we've had them formally introduced on our show. I wanted to have this person on like 6 weeks ago, and then life blew up, but which is crazy because I was checking my calendar. You've been here now 2 months. It's 2 months
Pretty
today.
close, right? Yeah.
Crazy. That is the voice of Rachel Herzog, who's our WDAY weekend sports anchor. I can't even say welcome because you've been here for 2 months, but welcome to Hot Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you for getting up with us because you work the night owl shift. I did that one for a long time, so I know when asking anything, pretty much anything before 10 o'clock is no-go. So I appreciate that you bended to come in and do this morning.
Oh, yeah.
So how's Fargo treating you so far?
It's pretty good, honestly. The transition wasn't too hard at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm from the Twin Cities.
That's what I was going to say. Give us the lowdown. Where are you from? And give us a little bit of background here.
Yep. So I'm from Woodbury, Oakdale area, suburb right outside St. Paul. And I went to high school at Hill Murray.
Oh, my God.
I know. I heard that you'd probably call me a
Cake
cake
eater,
eater.
no doubt.
I know. I was prepared for it. But no, I really had a good high school experience, good sports-wise, education-wise. My mom was a teacher and still is at the high school, so that was fun having her around a lot. And then went to college at St. Cloud State, and now I'm here. And so I've been moving north through life, so the weather hasn't been impacting me too much. The plowing up here is a little iffy compared to the cities.
Yeah.
That's my one
Don't
bone
get me
to pick
started
with
on
Fargo.
that, because right now I live in Moorhead, and they got a vendetta against me, so I'm going to just keep my mouth shut because every time they put the snowbank higher in front of my driveway. So it's funny you say that. You're very modest, by the way. You went to St. Cloud State. For people that don't know, Rachel played collegiate Division I hockey at St. Cloud State. I spent an hour last night trying to find your goal on some sort of video for it.
Yeah, it's not on there.
What is that about?
I know, and my parents came to every home game too. I was a defenseman, so I was more of a passer.
Here, look at it. There you are. You got a monitor to your right
goodness,
there.
I did
huh?
not think you were going to.
This is my favorite shot. Look at. I love the how the stick bend there. That's a heck of a slap shot you had going there.
Yeah, I didn't shoot a whole lot. I was more of a passer in high school. I played with Mackenzie Steffen as a D partner.
By the way, that's my favorite jersey. That should be the regular jersey all the time.
We got
that's
those our senior year, and black is my favorite color. I pretty much wear all black. You can't see my pants, but my whole wardrobe is 80% black clothing. So when they added black jerseys, I was stoked.
Those are sweet. Okay,
yeah.
128 games played.
Yep.
That's fantastic. Did you miss any? 36, 31, 28, and 33.
Yeah.
That means you never went out of the lineup.
I think I missed 4 games my sophomore year. I tore my labrum in my shoulder, so I was out for a couple weeks.
Was that for a hit? What happened? How did you?
Yeah,
okay.
so I pinched a girl out on the boards, and my stick got caught up in her skates, and then she fell on me. So my shoulder popped out.
Oh, boy, that must have been pleasant.
Kind of snapped it back in on my own, and that's kind of what screwed me over.
Fantastic.
And I'm the type of person who doesn't really like to sit still. I don't like to miss anything. So I needed surgery after I got the MRI. They're like, yeah, you have like 3 tears in the front, 2 in the back, and you got a cyst growing in there.
Oh, wow.
I was like, okay, so what does the recovery time look like for an injury like that? And they're like, you'd be back playing in 7 months. And I was like, no way. I'm not doing that. So I just kind of played through it.
So you played the rest of the year with a torn labrum? Holy cow.
2.5 years.
Yikes.
I just taped it, cloth wrapped it, and then wore a brace.
Okay, so you played the rest of your collegiate career with a holy cow.
It's still torn.
Is it? Oh, you haven't had the surgery?
I can't really throw a ball right now. And now that I'm working a real job and I'm going off my parents' insurance, I'm really like, crap.
Yeah.
I didn't want to sit out that long. That would have been painful for me as a person.
When did it happen? Like, when in the calendar year did it happen? Was it early in the season, late in the season?
It was like November.
Okay, so
that relatively early.
But it would have wiped out the whole year for you.
Yep. And
that was non-negotiable.
No.
1 goal, 15 assists. I like this, by the way, 23 career penalty minutes. You stayed out of the box, too, which is really hard for a defense person. That's not easy to do.
Yeah, I kind of pride myself on that and block shots. I didn't really care much about points all that much.
Yeah, they don't have the block shot stats on here. I know. Assume, what was that? I had to be
I think it was my
right?
sophomore or junior year. Yeah, I led the league in block shots, which was one of my favorite stats. I don't know. I didn't hang my hat on
That's
my
fantastic.
one goal. I didn't score a lot in high school either. Again, I was saying my D partner was Mackenzie Steffen. She went to University of Wisconsin-Madison.
It's all right.
She was a really, really good player, and she had a bomb of a shot,
last
right?
time I checked, they're all right in hockey.
Yeah.
So,
I passed to her all the time in high school, so it kind of just became habit to pass the puck.
Was hockey always your favorite? Like, when did you say, okay, I can play Division I, or somebody tell you, hey, you can play Division I hockey? When was that conversation?
Well, I started playing relatively late compared to most Division I athletes when they say, oh, yeah, I started skating when I learned how to walk. I knew how to skate well. We had a pond in our backyard, but I didn't start playing till I was 10 or 11. So I kind of got into the sport itself.
That's really late, actually, for hockey.
Yeah, and I think I just kind of had a natural thing for it.
Yeah.
And I didn't really think anything about college hockey. It wasn't my whole life's dream to play a collegiate sport. It kind of just worked out that way.
Yeah.
And I know that maybe might sound a little conceited, but that's it.
That's
my
your journey.
dad kind of, as I was growing up, I think I started going on tours end of freshman year, sophomore year.
Where did you go?
I went that early. I went out east to a bunch of different schools. But those schools at that age, I was 14, 15 around that time, I would go on these tours and they were like, okay, we need to know in a week.
Oh, say they.
And I was like, I'm a child.
Yeah, so they were looking for a commitment that early. So you were a freshman in high school?
Yeah, end of freshman year and then going into sophomore year.
Okay.
Yep. So a lot of that was happening in the summer. And I just was like, I am too.
Were you intrigued by it? Like out east or not so much?
Not as much. Okay. I mean, the biggest thing for me was my dad put so much, and my mom, I should say, but my dad played collegiate hockey and baseball. And so sports was his life growing up too. So he put a lot of effort into getting me into summer league tournaments and teams and playing in these prospect tournaments. I wanted him to be able to come to as many games as he could. I thought that was a way for me to be able to give back to my family.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice.
I am a homebody. I really like being home. I really love my family. So being able to go back and forth was important to me.
Did you look at UND at all?
UND?
Yeah.
Yes, I actually got invited up for a tour because Brian Idalski, who is now the St. Cloud State coach, which is crazy, he was one of my coaches at a prospect tournament.
Okay.
So these prospect tournaments were kids from all over the area in Minnesota.
Yep.
They would play on teams together, and then Division I or Division III coaches would be the coaches for that specific weekend, and the teams and the coaches would switch up every weekend. And he invited me up for a tour, and he wasn't the defensive coach at the time. Eric Fabian was, and I hadn't met him yet. So I went up there, did this whole tour, and then they were like, I don't think you're tall enough to be a defenseman on our team. Yeah, and they were a staple team that had really big defensemen, right?
Yep.
And there was a girl, Taylor Wemple, who was on our team at Hill Murray, and she's like 6 feet, 6'1", and she was committed to UND, and I was like, okay, like annoying. I'm 5'8", I'm close enough.
I was
going to
say
small.
On skates you're got to be 6 feet. We're pretty close.
Yeah, like 5'9", 5'10", 5'10" probably on skates. So I was like, I'm not small.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was kind of odd that, oh, we're interested, but
you're not tall
enough. You saw how tall I was when you asked me. So it was an interesting scenario. But
and then ended up being a blessing in disguise anyway for what ended up happening.
Right. That was a bummer. We played against them my freshman year in 2016,
I was going to say, so that's when right? Was it after that or was the year? Yeah, it was the year after that everything got pulled the plug there.
Yeah.
That's it. I did not know that. That's interesting on that. So when did St. Cloud State come into the picture?
They were a team that I had talked to, I think, sophomore year, and they were really patient with me, and I think I appreciated that because I didn't commit until halfway through my senior year.
No kidding.
Big decisions are hard for me to make, like where I want to go, what do I want to do with my life. Just trying to figure out a college when I'm 15 years old just seemed absurd to me.
That's a great point because, we talk to a bunch of athletes, and you will as well in your time here, that make up their mind sometimes that early, which is just crazy. It is crazy to me as well. We've done stories of athletes around here getting scholarship offers as freshmen or after their freshman year. Mm-hmm. We had it just happen this past year. UND offered an 8th grader to play collegiate basketball after her 8th grade season.
Yeah,
that's absurd to me. But that's how early this is starting, and you live this out.
Yeah, when I think I was a junior, there was two brothers, a 9th grader and an 8th grader, and they both committed at the same time to UMD. They're both in the NHL now, which is really cool. Opposite sides of the country, though. But being somebody that has been on that recruiting path for so long and seeing an 8th grader just decide, where they want to go. And then I had a teammate in college, Courtney Hall. Her sister committed in 7th grade to Wisconsin. So it's getting younger and younger. I think they're starting to make more rules now.
I know there is for on the men's side. I don't know on women's hockey if they have the same restrictions yet.
Closely, but now it's like not until your junior year you can talk to them on the phone or something.
That is wild.
Yeah, so I just couldn't imagine making that decision so early.
Well, let's break. I want to come back and actually talk about broadcasting and how that worked out. So let's do that. We'll finish up hour one. Rachel Herzog joining us, WDAY Weekend Sports Anchor. We'll do that, wrapping up hour one of our show. We'll be back right after this. I did not approve this to go on the air. That is an odd look. I have the same expression about that as Aaron Rodgers does in that photo. Back here, wrapping up hour one with Rachel Herzog. Do you have a favorite football team? Do you cling to one or not so much?
Not as much. No? I just got into football as of recent. I feel hockey's been my whole life. That's in college. That was really only the sport that gave me as many opportunities as it did. And St. Cloud State's football team got cut.
That's right.
And
as you were there.
Yeah. So, and we have a family of 4 girls. So football wasn't ever super big in our household. But in the recent years, I've been paying attention to it a lot more. And especially coming here, getting to cover it a lot more than I thought I was going to, especially getting here in December. There's a lot of football coverage.
Yeah, football doesn't end around here. It pretty much doesn't end year round, I can tell you that. That's kind of how it goes. But yeah, the season around here normally goes till January.
Late. Yeah. So I've been enjoying learning the sport a lot more, and I have been getting more into it. If I were a fan of anybody, it would be the Vikings because you got to be a homer.
Yeah, you don't have to. You can go whoever you want. You're this early in it, you can choose whoever you want. Are you a Wild fan then?
I am. Big Wild fan. They're having a good year.
I'll show you. We'll do the highlights of that in a second here.
Yeah.
But before we do that, so you're on your bio on the St. Cloud website, you were going to go into biomed.
Yes.
Tell us how that changed to go to broadcasting then.
I know. It's a crazy story. People are always shocked when they see something like that, or I tell them kind of my trajectory of life. But in high school, I was very math and science oriented. My 3 other sisters are all the same way. My older sister's in med school at the University of Minnesota.
Nice.
So kind of wanting to take that same path. And then getting to college, I did that for 2 years. And like I was telling you a little bit earlier, it's just, I think the way my advisor set me up for classes plus playing a Division I sport, it just wasn't feasible for me to maintain 4 classes, 4 labs, 3 or 4 labs, and then being at the rink 3.5 hours a day. It was exhausting. I just couldn't keep up. So it wasn't that I couldn't do it, you guys. It just wasn't.
I think it's
admirable. Was burning me out.
I think it's admirable you did it for 2 years. That to me is crazy. The schedule that you laid out when we were in commercial break, that's wild. That is a lot.
Yeah.
That is a lot. Division, and I've told people this, and I think people understand it now. Being a Division I athlete is a full-time job in and of itself.
Yep.
You don't have summers off. You don't have time to get a job. That's why I fight on this about name, image, and likeness and cost of attendance. Like, that is your job.
Yes.
You have to go to school, and it's all of that. So the fact that you were doing that kind of major, kudos to you for doing them as long as you did. That's hard.
It was classes all up until practice. Would practice for practice and lift most days.
Yeah.
And then games on the weekend.
Right.
It was just a lot
Travel.
of going from one place to the other, going to labs, coming home, going to the library. So I knew I wanted to make some sort of switch. Didn't know what it was going to be yet. And the ice side reporter for Husky Productions at the time was Katie Emmer, who is now Katie Storm,
who works at Valley Sports North. Yep.
Yes. So she was ice side reporter at the time, and so she would hang out in the women's hockey lounge during men's broadcasts when she was getting prepared for whatever hits she needed to do. So I got to know her a lot more during that time because we would go down there in intermissions and stuff. And the more I talked with her and told her I need to switch my major, I just don't know what it is yet. And she's like, you should really go into TV. And I had never once in my life thought about doing anything of that sort.
Yeah.
And it shocked me a little bit. I was like, I don't know if I should be on TV. And she's like, well, you're just really outgoing. You at least know hockey really well. You like the sport environment. And she kind of pushed me into it. She took me on a tour through the studios that we had on campus and introduced me to some people, and I thought that was really cool. And I think I didn't really have any other direction to go in. Nothing else was really pulling at me. And I was like, well, I have 2 more years left. I got all my base courses done. I can finish a major in 2 years. Like, might as well try this out. And didn't even realize that St. Cloud State was a really big broadcasting program. Everything happens for a reason, I guess. I didn't know that until halfway through my junior year. And they're like, yeah, we're like top 5 in the country. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So, yeah. And everybody in the program was really nice. And it gave me a lot of opportunities to learn. And I stuck around an extra 2 years. I am 25 and just graduated college, everyone.
There's no slide in that. I took 5 to get out, so don't worry about it. So
I just wanted them,
and I got 1 degree.
I need more experience because I didn't get to be on the broadcast team because I was playing on the weekends up until my senior year. So I finished all of the classes I needed to by 2020 when I should have graduated, but I felt like I didn't have the experience that I wanted or could have gained from St. Cloud State that was so important. So I stuck around an extra year. Well, that was COVID.
Yeah.
So I was the in-studio analyst for Husky Productions, and instead of having 20 games, we had 5. And at the end of that year, I was like, oh, I still don't feel like I got as much out of it as I could have. So then the 6th year rolled around and got to be the eyesight reporter, which is what I wanted and felt like was the position that fit me the most. And that was a really, really fun experience, and I'm glad I stayed for those extra 2 years.
So you got to work and went to school with Sam Getzinger, who, by the way, we're filing an official complaint against Sam because he was awarded the not last place in our fantasy football league, even though I beat him 2 out of 3 times. Drew said I had to finish last, so I'm right now. Sam and I are not speaking.
You're in a fight. It's okay.
And he's done a great job. Sam's been with us since June, and has just knocked it out of the park. And now, as luck would have it, or fate would have it, maybe you guys are now working together because Sam anchors our Saturday show, and you obviously are doing weekends. It's wild how that came together.
I know. We became friends my 5th year. We had some classes together through college, but he's 2 years younger than me, so. Because I was behind in classes, we kind of lined up at the same time. And so I got to know him a lot more 2021. And we became really good friends. Our other friend, Joey Erickson, who's from right outside Dallas, Texas. So he's back home now. But us 3 got really, really close through college and still stay in touch. And Sam's the one that told me that there was a job opening up here. And I hadn't really been looking. I had a different lead on a job that I didn't end up getting. So I was kind of in that grace period of trying to figure out what I was going to do next. And what better to go to a new town and a new job with your best friend from school. So the transition here has been a lot easier because he is here.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Have you liked it so far?
I have.
Yeah.
Yep. I've learned a lot. I did a few production classes. So doing news and stuff was kind of just a brush up on what I needed to do here. There's a lot of things that I am still learning, but getting into it in itself wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Yeah. So, and I never anchored much in college because I did more of the live production, live broadcast stuff. So that in itself has been a learning curve too, still figuring that out a little bit. Well, but it's been a good journey so far.
You've done a great job, and I'll tell you, as just from meeting this is forever ago, the first 6 months I thought were the hardest. You get through that, especially moving to a new place. It helps you know Sam. Like when you move to a new town that you don't know anybody, that is, I don't know if there's a harder thing, and we do that in television all the time. So I always think that 3 to 6 months, you get through that, you're golden after that.
Yeah.
So and plus you're starting at a time where your head's spinning anyway, and it's gonna for the next couple months. So.
Yeah, it's been very busy.
But when we get to about April, that's when it'll kind of settle down because the weather sucks around here, so there's no outdoor sports for a bit. So then you'll probably be able to take a deep breath.
Yep.
And then actually, come up for air, and then all right, I know what I'm doing by then. So
right, that's exactly what Sam said too. He's like, once you get to six or 7 months, which he's been here.
Well, he's a hardcore
6 or
veteran.
7
I know
months.
it. Hardcore veteran that he is. Yes, but
just the transition.
He's exactly right.
Working. Working 2 to 11:30 midnight on the weekends, especially now that Sports Sunday has started. It's really busy. So adjusting, like even just being able to work properly. I worked at a restaurant 5-6 days a week, but this is a lot different. It's more taxing, I feel like. So just in that in itself is a big adjustment.
The news happens every day. That's the always thing.
No days off.
Every single day it happens there. Well, we're super pumped to have you. I really appreciate you coming by. We're going to get that photo framed here in the studio. I hope that's all right. The slap shot one.
Oh,
that's my favorite
really?
one. It's awesome.
Okay.
It's fantastic. We got to get it up here. And we'll see you this weekend, and then you and Sherwin doing Sports Sunday coming up on Sunday night. So welcome. We'll hopefully have you come back a few times and tell us some good stuff that you got working on, all right?
Yeah. Sounds good to me.
Rachel Herzog, our WDAY weekend sports anchor, joining us here in studio. We'll take a break. We'll start hour 2. He's going to be late, so he's going to be mad about that. My dad will join us. We'll do some NFL picks, figure out who's going to the Super Bowl. We'll do that when hour 2 of Hot Mike begins right after this.
This is Hot Mike. Hot Mike on the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
If that was me and you, if you'd have went with a Boston, you'd have been living in the garage. I had a Yankee hat on, of course, which I usually almost always do, but she says to me, if I were you, I'd take that hat off. And I looked at what look at it to begin with. I ain't taking my hat off. I know where I am. Yeah, right.
You believe anything that guy says? Because I don't.
He said he was going to marry J-Lo, too, remember? Come on. I finally told your mom. I said, there's no sense. Let's just put TVs in the room because I'm only going to wake them up anyway. So
that's how I got a television? Do not adjust your watches, folks. We're doing this a little bit earlier on a Friday, so I'm sure I'm going to hear from it now since he blew up his schedule for us as we welcome on my dad at a Friday morning. I appreciate your representatives making this happen. I know I was a little nervous about that.
Well, it wasn't easy, but we made it happen. That's all.
Your schedule is so busy these days, I know. So
you get set in the way. That's the way it is. Once you get my age, you don't like those things that go off the edge. So.
What's going on? What are you doing today? What's happening in the big hometown?
Not too much. I got to go to the grocery store.
There we go.
We got a little snow yesterday, but not enough to really, no wet stuff.
So do you have any snow on the ground right now?
Yes, we got about 2 inches.
Okay.
But that's the second time all year I've used the snowblower.
Jeez.
Twice. Unbelievable.
Lord, that's
I'm
crazy.
knocking out wood. I never have to use it
I was
again.
going to say, holy cow, that is crazy.
Very unusual for here. You know that.
Yes, no doubt about it. The countdown is on.
I'm sure we'll pay for it.
Well, we're going to have like negative temperatures here for like 2 weeks straight. So you're not going to get.
I see that, man. I'll be sitting right here in New York thinking about you, man. I feel sorry for
First
the
off,
Jack.
you're going to be sitting in Florida in like 2 weeks' time. Let's not confuse anybody here, okay? Come on.
Super Bowl night, I'll be sitting in Florida.
Well, we're gonna figure out who's gonna be in the Super Bowl. We got our 2 games this weekend. I would, if you were to look at this, if we were to talk about this in September, nobody would be surprised, I think, on Cincinnati and Kansas City since they played in the game last year. The NFC, how they got there is completely surprising. I mean, Brock Purdy against Jalen Hurts, you would have won a ton of money on that bet.
I know. The Niners had to be really a long shot. Philly too, though, really, but I can't remember what they were when it first started out, but I wouldn't have had either one of them, I'll tell you that.
So let me throw you what we talked about earlier in the week. The report came out from San Francisco that Trey Lance can be had for a 3rd-round pick. What if let's say they win Sunday, what would you do if you're John Lynch, if you're the guy running the 49ers?
Well, the same thing they do every year. You got to earn that job just because you had one good year. Now look at Carson Wentz.
Mm-hmm.
Use him as an example. he had a great 11 games, right?
He did before he got hurt.
And ain't done nothing since. So you can't just.
So I don't know.
That'd be hard.
So you'd hold on to him. You're saying.
I'd hold on to Lance. I'd get rid of Garoppolo first.
Well, Jimmy G's gone. I'm just wondering
he's
about.
Always hurt. Well, everybody said that last year too. Remember? There's no way.
But that's why I think they have doubts about Trey because they brought Garoppolo back, and obviously Trey gets hurt in the 2nd game of the season. But and then this guy comes in 7th-round pick like Tom Brady, and they're a win away from going to the Super Bowl. I mean,
is it a 1-year wonder, or is it going to work? That's what I would keep both of them. I'll tell you that right now.
So that's what you'd say. You keep both of them. All right. That's what I was
Yes, I would.
All right.
Now, Trey's not going to like that, but
No, not one bit.
It's going to be hard to knock this kid off. You know what I mean? You can't just say you're done.
Yeah, yep, right. You can't bench him. If he goes to the Super Bowl, he's got to be the guy. That's my
But you got to remember too. He's in an awesome offense.
Yes,
he really is. He's in an just play to your strengths, and you'll be okay.
They are loaded for bear. There's no doubt about that.
Next. If he makes it to the Super Bowl, then it's going to be. You'll see. I don't know.
Guy. He's the guy. There's no other doubt. There's not a debate in my mind on that.
I think this is going to be his toughest game.
No doubt about that. Absolutely.
It'll be his toughest.
In that environment in Philadelphia, it's going to be a gong show on Sunday.
If I was him, if he wins in Philly, I'd be out there trying to climb them greased up poles, man. Because that would be there. I am. Welcome to the NFL.
Well, let me tell you, they might tear some stuff down if they lose in Philadelphia. That was what I was worried about when we were there covering the Vikings game. If they lose, what's going to happen in this city?
Well, you got to remember where you are.
All right. So the hot rumor, we brought it up earlier. The Jets hired Nathaniel Hackett. That's the old Packers offensive coordinator. So is Aaron Rodgers going to the Jets?
He'd have to be crazy, but go for it, I guess. I don't know. It's going to be him or Brady, right?
No, it's not going to be Brady. Stop. No.
Imagine if it's Brady, you'll be inconsolable, man.
How about Tom Brady freaking out on Jim Gray, asking him if he was going to come back? He's swearing on his own podcast. Like, what are you doing?
Was a setup. That was a setup, it was. There he goes, dropping F-bombs again. He's just, I'll tell you.
I just found it odd.
Facts better think twice.
Well, see, that's the funny thing, because watching the Cowboys 49ers game with Olsen and Burkhardt. Olsen was awesome. They were both really good. I mean, if Brady's going to play anyway next year, and I think the Fox has the Super Bowl again in 2 years, that maybe he comes in there. I don't. If you're Greg Olsen, man, you're sitting in the catbird seat because you got a great NFL job, broadcasting job waiting for somebody. I don't know. CBS, it's been really interesting. I don't know if you've seen this, that there are some people thinking that the Nance Romo thing isn't working out as well as it used to. So I don't know.
I think Romo's starting to lose his touch. Maybe he's getting a little too. He's thinking about golf too much. Probably that's what it is. He's always wanted to be a professional golf player, but
honestly, I would move Olsen to the Amazon game with Al Michaels. That would be a good. Herb Street's okay. Olsen's really good. I don't know.
Yeah, I can take him more than Collinsworth, that's for sure. But I'm glad I ain't got to listen to him.
I know. You're great about that. All right, let's do some picks then, shall we?
I'm ready.
All right, we'll lead off then.
Didn't do too hot last week. I only had one right. Two and two with a straight off.
You and Courtney both. The Jack Man was 3-1. I'm just telling you. And I asked him before. I said, I'm going to see Grandpa Dom on the show. Who you picking? So he said Eagles, and he said the Chiefs. So that's who Jack Man's going with. Okay, so
yeah. Well, me and him are completely disagreeing.
Well, here we go. So the NFC game is the 2:00 game. 49ers, Eagles. Let's first start under/over. The under/over is 46.
Yeah,
what do we make of that? Pound that over?
That's gonna go over.
Wow, These are two really good defenses.
Yeah, but Philly's used to scoring 30 points.
Well, they're not playing the Giants again. Okay.
Yeah, that's gonna go over.
Over 46. Okay.
I like the over.
The money line is Philly minus 2.5 for this game. What do you think?
I'm gonna go with the kid. The Niners. I think Philly's going to choke. I really do.
Wow. All right. I'm with you. I like San Francisco as well. I think 49. I said it a lot. They're not losing. Their defense is good. McCaffrey's going to have a crazy game, and Kittle is gonna do something huge in this game. I love both the tight ends in this game, Kittle and Dallas Goedert. I love both of them in this game.
Yeah, but Kittle and this young kid have got it going. Yep. Man. He's whatever it is, he's put him right on his back, and Kittle will make him what he is. But And he backs him for everything. Kittle backs him right up for everything.
Yep.
He's not, which he should.
Yeah.
He should do that.
All right, so you got the over and the Niners for the NFC Championship.
Yep.
The AFC game is the late game, 5:30 Central Time on CBS. Cincinnati at Kansas City. The Bengals have beaten the Chiefs 3 straight times, including last year in overtime, to win the AFC Championship. The under-over is 47.5, another high one. What do you make of that?
You know, every game last week went under.
I did not know that. Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, that was crazy. But this one's going over, too.
Over on that one.
Yep.
Is it? Well, here's the thing. Mahomes is hurt. Okay?
That's the only bummer right there.
Right.
I mean, that ruins the whole thing.
No
really,
doubt.
If he can't be himself.
I don't think he. That's my point. I don't think he can be himself. I think he can still do some stuff, but he can't do the normal underarm, throwing it underhanded kind of stuff. I don't think you can see that.
It's getting out of the pocket that he's got to worry about. That's where he's the best.
I think Cincinnati's better anyway. I think the Bengals defense, you saw what they did to the Bills. They manhandled Buffalo in that game.
They did. I mean, that wasn't even a game. It was just flat out whooped him.
And Burrow is cool a customer around. He's just completely unflappable. The money line is Kansas City -1. So it is basically Vegas. Vegas went Kansas City, then switched to Cincinnati when they heard Mahomes was hurt, and now they went back to Kansas City here.
Yeah, well, that's because you know where all the money's going. that's I'm going with the Bengals.
Cincinnati +1. All right.
But that's, I probably wouldn't. I got my Mahomes shirt.
I see that. Yeah.
I probably wouldn't do that if he was healthy.
So if you're saying Mahomes 100%, you'd be hammering Kansas City.
I'd probably go to Kansas City, even though they've whooped them the last 3 times. They definitely got their number. That's for sure. But this is a big game. This is a big difference right here.
A San Francisco-Cincinnati Super Bowl would be dynamite. That would be pretty good. I think either way, if you get 49ers-Chiefs, it's pretty good. If you get 49ers-Bengals, Eagles-Bengals, Eagles-Chiefs, either way, you're going to get a pretty good game coming up in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, the TV people don't care. They know what the ratings are going to be sky high. I mean, look what it was for that Chiefs game. Wasn't it the highest they ever had?
It was. And that was the best game next to the Dallas game. So
I helped them out. I had it on 2 TVs. So that helped them.
I don't think I pushed them over the top there. Before we go, you want to pick tonight's game? The latest money line here has the under-over at 138.5 for the Bison UND basketball game tonight.
I'm going to go under on that.
Under on that, 138 point. All right, under on that.
Right. I think Richmond will have them ready to play tonight. So
Bison -8.5. You want to take that?
Yeah, I'd take the Bison on that. Even though I think it might be closer.
I was going to say it's going to be a close game.
If I was betting it, I'd drop that points down to 5, probably.
What do you mean if?
If I was betting it,
you can't bet that.
No, they're not. They don't have them on. Not my betting sites anyway. I'd have to join somebody else. But I don't know why.
Bad. All right. So he's got the Bison -8.5 tonight. So there you go for people out there that follow that stuff. And he's got Cincinnati, San Francisco, and the overs on both.
Hey,
of them.
did I see you guys are voting on it again?
Yeah, it's got to go through the Senate, the North Dakota State Senate, and or the House, excuse me. It's got a chance. From what I've been told, it's got a chance. So
well, you look at all the dudes that vote no. Those are your bookies. I'm telling you right now, those are the guys that are making a ton of money on the side. Your no voters are your bookies.
Oh gosh, that's good. All right, I'll make sure. I know some of these guys, so I'll make sure I ask them next time I see them.
Yeah, you check it out. They might not tell you, but they're the guys that stick the white envelope in the door when nobody sees them. There you go. You won.
So are bookies out of business in New York then because it's legal?
No, you're still got your old timers that aren't going to get on a computer. They're going to lay your bets. You know what I mean? If it wasn't for your sister setting me all up,
I know you'd still be doing that. I know it.
Yeah, it's so easy on a computer that even I can do it.
Incriminating evidence is happening here. So there we go. We better get out of town before you get in trouble. So
Okay.
All
Yeah,
right.
I don't want to get in trouble.
You have a great weekend.
I just want to know who to go to when I'm out there if I want to put a bet in. You know what I mean?
Well, you can't go. Let's see. North Dakota, no. Minnesota, no. You got to go to Iowa. Or South Dakota's now got it. You can go to South Dakota. There you go.
There you go.
So you can go just.
What's that, about a 5-hour drive?
It's a little bit, depending on where you're going in South Dakota. You got to go a little ways. So actually, you know what? There's a sports book at the casino in Hankinson, the one that you thought you were running out of gas going to. You can go there.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
There you go. You can go there and
How come
have
they
fun.
can have it? Oh, because they're a reservation?
On the reservation. That's exactly right. That's why they can do it.
Well,
So-
that's the same thing that happened here.
Right.
So.
Exactly.
How about Sam Herder? Don't he live in South Dakota?
No, he lives in Minnesota.
Oh, okay. I was going to give him a call. I haven't put a bet in for me.
Everybody thinks he lives in South Dakota because people think he loves the Jacks. That's why. So there you
Well,
go.
he does.
So,
He's a Jacks fan. For sure.
Hey, South Dakota State should be the favorite anyway. So, all right.
They're going to be a favorite for a while, I think.
They're all right. Have a great weekend.
Ents to make it back up. That's all.
I'll put you on the phone with the defensive coordinator. You can give some tips, and he's coming on next, okay? So you can do that.
Yeah. How come he took my spot? That ain't
Yeah,
right.
I'm sure. Have a great weekend, all right? I love you too.
Call,
we'll talk to you on Sunday, all right?
Yeah, sounds good.
There he goes, my pops with his NFL picks. Cincinnati, San Francisco, and he's hammering the over, he says, for the games this weekend. We'll take a break. We'll get caught up on a couple things here. Jason Petrino, NDSU's new defensive coordinator, coming up at 10:35. We'll do that. We roll on a Friday morning. We're back after this. Rolling on here on a busy Friday morning. New NDSU defensive coordinator Jason Petrino coming up here in about 10 minutes' time. Our thanks to my dad for his picks. We'll see how he does. Should be an entertaining weekend to figure out who's making it to Super Bowl 57 in Arizona. Glendale, the home of the Cardinals, gets the Super Bowl this year. Just wanted to follow up with that story we were talking about with Logan about the big soccer news for those that love it. And we were covering it pretty intensely with the World Cup. The 2024 Copa America tournament we played in the United States. That's been confirmed after an agreement between the South American Football Confederation and CONCACAF. That's where the United States and Mexico play out of. The format will feature 16 teams, 10 from South America and 6 from CONCACAF, with teams from the North, Central American, and Caribbean Confederation qualifying via the Nations League tournament. We're getting deep in the weeds here on soccer. Why it's important, though, is these are the teams that are going to be playing in the United States. Brazil, Colombia, Argentina, Paraguay. Last time I checked, they're all really good in soccer. And the U.S. is going to be in there. U.S. has participated in the tournament 4 times previously, most recently in 2016 when it reached the semifinals. They think they're going to use probably some of the similar sites that they will from the World Cup is here in 2026. So for you soccer nuts out there, next summer, the summer of 24, that is a huge deal. I have to visit with Drew about that when we get off the air here today about how monstrous this is. But for soccer fans in the United States, the fact that you get those kind of teams coming here, that doesn't ever happen. So that's a huge deal for those of us that follow the sport. We haven't showed the highlights. I want to do this quick of the Wild game last night simply because of the goals that were scored in the game last night between Minnesota and Philadelphia, which were highlight reel. To go on top of the fact, last night at the X, there were 3 fights in the game between the Flyers and the Wild. They score here. Matt Boldy was great last night, just got his new deal and was tremendous there, ties the game up at 1. Here, deflects that one home on the power play, gives the Wild a 2-1 lead. Now, Philadelphia's pulled its goaltender, and with a minute and a half to go, they tie the game there at 2 to force overtime. And then this happens in OT where Marc-Andre Fleury makes overtime is just crazy anyway. It's 4-on-4, and it just is, you know what, crazy. He makes a save here, and then they go end-to-end. What? Matt Zuccarello, are you kidding? Around the defenseman, between his legs, and score. Watch again. Are you kidding? Stop it. The game winner, the Wild win it 3-2, stop their 3-game losing skid after losing to Carolina, the Panthers, and the Lightning. They get a big win last night in front of a great crowd at XL Energy Center. These are the up-to-date standings in the Central Division now, where the Wild leapfrog the Avalanche because Colorado is off, and for now, they're in the playoffs. Again, a reminder, the top 3 out of each division make the postseason. And this is just the craziest format. The NHL, if they just can't go the top 8, why did that not work? Right now, they would play Winnipeg. That's not a great matchup for them. Dallas would play Colorado, who's one of the top wildcard teams. Seattle and Edmonton. The Kraken are that good, folks, in their second year that they would make the playoffs. Vegas and L.A. And then you see the East is loaded this year. The Devils are good. The Hurricanes are good. The Maple Leafs and the Lightning are loaded. The Bruins have only lost, I think, 5 games all season long. So it is a top-heavy Eastern Conference. But the Wild get a big win, and they will host Buffalo coming up tomorrow night as part of Hockey Day in Minnesota. The day-long event to celebrate the sport is going on tomorrow, and the Wild and Sabres will play tomorrow night at 8 o'clock on Bally Sports North. We are due for our break. We'll take it now. We come back. You'll meet the new man who's coordinating the Bison defense, Jason Petrino, about leaving Southern Illinois to take the job in Fargo. We'll do that when Hot Mike returns on WDAY Extra at InForum.com. Welcome back, everybody. Friday morning edition. Hot Mike rolls on as we near our home stretch here. We mentioned yesterday, North Dakota State has found its next defensive coordinator as Matt Entz officially introduced Jason Petrino yesterday after 4 years at Southern Illinois in that same position. Now comes to Fargo to take over a Bison defense that will need to be retooled with the entire secondary moving on, either through the transfer portal or through graduation, and a couple other departures as well. He's got his work cut out for him, as I mentioned yesterday, but I know he's excited about the job, and he's good enough to make his Hot Mic debut with us here as the brain, I'm sure, is still scrambling to get adjusted to life now in Fargo. Thanks so much for the time, and just give me the last 48 hours for a football coach. I know this is almost normal, but it's still, how wild have the last 2 days been?
Exciting, wild, but I mean, exciting, not the norm, but I don't think a football coach's days, are normal. You got to kind of adapt and adjust as things happen. But the last 48 hours, like I said, just exciting. It was a early morning flight out of St. Louis. They were getting a little bit of snow. I think they ended up with about 3 inches, and everybody was freaking out that they wouldn't get out any of the planes out. So I kind of chuckled at that. But no, up early, I told, Ian, when he picked me up, said, "Hey, man, I got like 3 huge suitcases, man. I'm going to be here for a while." So, lugging those things through the airport there in Fargo, and but then, like I said, just kind of imagine it a little bit. But it just, honestly, just got to hit the ground and shake as many hands. I wish more people wore name tags. That would help me out. Not necessarily the first time, but make the second or third time. But at the same time, getting around campus, getting around, your HR paperwork, and seeing everybody and getting over to workouts as much as I can to get around the players.
Jason, when this job opened up, was this hey, I really be interested, or tell us about your thought process about this job?
Yeah, it was, Coach Entz, and I mentioned this before, he was the D coordinator at Winona State, and then I kind of knew somebody on that staff, and then when he left, I came in to Winona State there, and it was Carson Walsh and AJ Blazik were on staff, and spent a year there. And really kind of seen or been around clinic a little bit. And then Coach Braun then came in after me, and it was kind of just a weird deal of knowing bodies and knowing names and, seeing each other in circles. And then spending 4 years in South Dakota, I talked with Coach Entz and, hey, you guys just played so-and-so, what were your thoughts? Being able to kind of make a little connection there. And, but when the job opened up, there was obviously a lot of excitement. The things for me and my family, it was always, we kind of wanted to get back west, a little closer to Montana. definitely a pull in that regard. And then there's just, the things that they've done and had success with. And I've, firsthand competed against them and seen what they've done and been in South Dakota. We recruited obviously a lot against them and the things that they have here. And it's just, when it came up, I just like, we'll see what happens and had a couple of conversations and ended up getting with Coach Entz on the phone a little bit more and just shared a lot of the same beliefs and philosophies when it comes to, number one, people and players and investment and development. And then, schematically and a lot of similarities and beliefs and based on the fundamentals and then just those things, and just felt like a real natural thing for myself getting a chance to visit with him about it. And just a lot of excitement to get a chance to be on the inside as somebody that a lot of coaches have come here and had a lot of success.
I'm really interested your thoughts on, from afar, seeing the Bison defense of 2022. You saw them late in the year. It was the next to last game of the regular season when the Bison played in Carbondale, and watching, I know, when you could in the postseason. What did you see from the Bison defense? Because I think fans and even us in the media were probably still too close to it. We're like, boy, this isn't the normal Bison defense. Did it look like that on the outside to you?
It's we didn't have a lot of crossover film. I'll be honest. What I mean by that is like, hey, NDSU versus so-and-so, and, watching them a little bit more. Not as much crossover this fall as maybe in the past. Going through the playoffs, well, obviously, by the time we played them, you just kind of read the articles and seen, the injuries and so-and-so's out and, the adjustments. And I know offensively they look pretty darn good, obviously with Hunter, and, he was healthy at the time as we were preparing for him. And, just loaded in the backfield and Cam, and then O-line. I think the O-line was really always separated NDSU from a lot of schools in our league, but defensively not as much. But when I got into the playoffs and you're sitting there and you're looking at them, and I think the game that really stood out was the Incarnate Word game, because obviously we played them earlier in the year, and so to see them go down, that's a credit to Coach Entz, Coach Braun, and get down early, and those guys just continuing to next man up and just found ways to beat. I thought was a really, really, really good and explosive offense, and getting them kind of almost shut down there for the last 2.5 quarters, and guys to keep stepping in and making plays. That was the things that really stood out to me.
I know I talked to you about this yesterday. I remember, Jason, the last game of 2018 when SIU came up here and the Bison scored 65 on them, and then the Bison played when you joined the staff in 2019. That was a completely different team that you held them to 21, and that was pretty good with Trey Lance at the helm that year. The Bison scored a ton of points on everybody. Why was the success? Why did you have such a great turnaround so quick? It helps to have Jeremy Chin, I know that, but why the success so quickly?
There was a lot of that group came back younger, and stuff like that. And I honestly, for me, it's just as I watched the film, talking with Coach Hill and that opportunity, I felt that there was some players that could play at high levels. I just didn't see some of the things, whether it was philosophically structures or base fundamentals and some of that stuff, just kind of going through it. I was like, I believe in this, but it looks like they're being taught that. Not that there's wrong. And I just felt like there were some things, and it didn't. I mean, like I said, we opened up with SEMO, and they were a playoff team, and didn't play well. But then we kind of started getting going, and then we opened up in league. I think that year, Chin got hurt in game 4. We played Arkansas State, and then we had a bye, and we played at South Dakota State, and we competed our butts off. I think we played pretty well on defense that weekend. But it was a tight game. And then the next week we had Illinois State at home when they had the running back. I can't think of his name right now.
James Robinson. Yeah.
And kind of battled them. It was a typical Valley game, back and forth. But then we went on and won 5 in a row and finished up with NDSU. So we were playing pretty good. We honestly felt like even a close game might get us into the playoffs. Yep. But looking at that NDSU team, I mean, it was like, wow. I mean, like I said, you had weapons everywhere. And that was the thing, obviously well coached and well prepared. And that was, like I said, I think I always go back. There's a third down in there. Like, some things you don't forget as coach, they stay with them. There's a third down. I think we had him in 3 and 8. Trey went through his progression, hit the nice crosser on the second level, went for a first down, and next play, he got power for a touchdown. And you just knew it was like, here it is. we could sit there, and I remember putting that film. We had like 3 guys just standing around the pile, and then boom, there he goes, 40 yards for a touchdown. You had your typical grinded out score, and then it was another 3rd and 6, and we brought a little pressure, and I think we blitzed Chin. That was my problem. I shouldn't have blitzed Chin because he would have probably tracked him down, but we blitzed him to one side, and Trey took it out the other end for another 40-yard run touchdown. And so, that was 21-7, and I think we had the ball inside the 5 late, and tried to score. And but like I said, that was a really, really, really good team, and I've seen a lot of NDSU teams. That 2019 team was definitely a special one. But we felt with our plan going into it, our players executed.
I got to ask, because you've been involved in 2 huge wins against the Bison. You were the DC at USD in 2015 when the Coyotes kicked a late field goal to win, and then obviously the game in the spring of 21 at SIU when the Salukis snapped the 39-game win streak. Which one meant more to you?
All wins are great wins, man. Even
come on, you got to give me one.
All great wins. It's a credit to the players. I say that all the time. I learned that a long time. Mike Van Dies, Joe Glenn, people I've been with, and in South Dakota. Definitely. I don't think a lot of people thought what we were able to do, and we came in, and I think we'd gotten beat the week before, and we just said, hey, we're just going to put our head down and practice and prepare, and we got down 21-7. They scored. NDSU scored a touchdown late in the first half, and I think it was 21-7. And then what we came out like halftime. I remember I was not happy giving up that late touchdown, but we came out, we settled in, and we were able to get some stops, and we put some stops together. And Coach Bashaner put a good plan together offensively, and we were able to get that tied up. And then we got the stop on 3rd and 8-ish. We got a stop on that one, and then our offense took the ball at that game and scored. And then in the spring game was kind of a unique thing too, and there was just so many newness, playing in the spring. Kind of, we traveled. I don't know how NDSU traveled, but I remember having a face mask and a shield on, and you're just like, okay, this is the new norm for now. But honestly, that game, I think we came out, we were well prepared. We put a good plan in. The players went out and executed it, and then offensively kind of controlled that game and was able to score some points and really get NDSU kind of out of their comfort zone.
I got to ask before we'll let you go here about your family and football. Has it just always been ingrained? Tell me about that, because the Petrino name is so well known, just of growing up with football. Can you give us a little insight on that?
Yeah, well, first, it goes, so I always say the original Coach Petrino, there's a number of us out there, but the original one was my uncle that coached at Carroll College and was there almost 30 years. And so he's the original, his family, but my dad, and he's got an identical twin who spent some time up in Glasgow, Montana, northeast part of the state, and was there for many, many years, but they were identical twins, both got into coaching, and really that side of it, just a lot of teachers and whether it's, all over the family and coaches. And so, my older brother, he's women's basketball coach out of Boise State now. They had a big win last night against Air Force. And then my younger brother was on staff with me for a while, both at Rocky Mountain College and at Southern Illinois, and he's back in Casper now with his family. So there's some things there that it's just been around, and honestly, it's just teaching. Coaching's a big thing, but it's really about teaching and learning and adapting and connecting. I think that's the part where it kind of gets a little bit, we get so in love with, hey, look at what Clemson's doing, or look at what Georgia's doing. And it's like, it's still about the base fundamentals and getting your players to be able to execute at a high level and put in the investment of caring. And that happens when you show them that investment into them as people, and then you'll find out you'll get the most out of them. So, but I think that goes across the board with us, was just teaching and learning and growing and adapting and investing. I think those are things that just have been around our family, and sports plays a big part of that.
I know you're a busy man. I really appreciate you giving us a few minutes to look forward to getting the chance to work with you going forward, and good luck with the move, because I know that stinks, and we'll talk to you again soon, okay?
Awesome. Thanks for having me on. I look forward to doing it again.
Jason Petrino, new NDSU defensive coordinator, joining us here on this Friday morning as he takes over a Bison defense that's got some work to do, and he knows full well about that with spring football here. As I found out, we're less than 2 months away from spring ball beginning at NDSU. We will take our final break. We'll wrap up the week, get you ready for the weekend. and the big game tonight in the Bison and UND. We'll wrap the show right after this on Hot Mic on WDAY Extra at InForum.com. We've reached the finish line for today and the week here. Appreciate all of our guests coming on. Next week, Bison All-American Cody Mauk will join us, getting ready for the Senior Bowl. We'll be checking in a couple times, actually, in Mobile next week in anticipation. That's a week from Saturday. Week from tomorrow is the Senior Bowl, and we'll have plenty of coverage on that next week here on the show. The practices are the big thing, and we'll be keeping an eye on that, and we'll have you plugged in for everything there. So he'll be joining us next week on the show. I'm hopeful, actually, we'll have his dad as well join us next Friday from Mobile, the day before the game. So excited about that. It's been a tradition. We've done that over the last couple of years to check in down in the Senior Bowl, and we're planning on doing that again next week. Matt Entz will join us as well, North Dakota State head football coach, next week. It is National Signing Day on Wednesday. That's for everybody, Division II and Division III, so we'll be covering that, and we'll have a big show coming up on Wednesday to get you ready for that. Two things here before we go. Pro Football Talk reporting, the Bengals practice this morning. No Alex Kappa, their starting right guard, or starting left tackle Jonah Williams. Neither were on the practice field today, according to reporters on the scene. Kappa has an ankle injury. Williams has a knee injury. Of course, they were out without them on last Sunday in the game against Buffalo. We talked with Cordell Volson about that on Tuesday when he joined us, that they had three backups out there. Cordell's one of the last two guys still standing. And it appears that's probably going to be the case again for the game on Sunday night against Kansas City for the right to go to the Super Bowl. So it looks like it's going to be two starters and three backups for the Bengals up front as they take on Kansas City for the right to go to Super Bowl 57. That's the latest there. Also, one other note I'll just kind of laugh at. Mike LaFleur, the Jets offensive coordinator, former Jets OC, is heading to the Rams, and he'll be their new coordinator. So Sean McVay gets Mike LaFleur as his guy, which I guess that's what had been in the works, I guess, since the season wrapped up and LaFleur was let go by the Jets. Boy, he lands in a pretty good spot with the Rams. Also, this is pretty good. As we look ahead to the college football season and what Deion is going to do at Colorado, Deion has confirmed that Mike Zimmer is joining his staff in Colorado. So if this still comes to pass a year from now, when the Bison play Colorado in August of 2024, you could have Deion Sanders, Mike Zimmer, and Tim Brewster all there. I mean, if that is not the nexus of the football universe, I don't know what is. But that... it looks like, at least for now, that's going to be his staff. Brewster's there, Zimmer's there, Deion there. I'm telling you right now, folks, Colorado is going to be must-see television in 2023. They may not win a whole lot of football games, but it is going to be a show that they're going to put on there. But before we get to what to watch, the biggest thing to watch tonight is our basketball game on WDAY, NDSU UND, tonight, 7 o'clock. From the Shield Center. Again, it's on WDAY. We're on statewide ABC tonight. So I know we got plenty of people that watch our show out in Bismarck. You can find the game on KBMY. If you're in Minot, KMCY, you can watch Bison Hoops tonight against UND. Should be a great environment and a good game for the Bison and Fighting Hawks. That's tonight, 7 o'clock on WDAY. Let's do what to watch before we get out of here on this Friday. On top of that, UND hockey team plays tonight on the road. They need wins, and they need them in a hurry. Can they get it tonight against Miami? 6 o'clock on the CBS Sports Network for the game tonight between the Fighting Hawks and Miami. The red-hot Minnesota Timberwolves, they've won one in a row, will take on the playoff opponent from last year, the Memphis Grizzlies. That's at 6:30 tonight on Bally Sports North for that matchup between the Wolves and the Grizzlies. That should be a good one. Minnesota gets up for playing Memphis, so that should be fun. And it's the third round of the Farmers Insurance Open. Remember, this tournament is going Wednesday to Saturday, so we are on the back end of the tournament of what's going on there. Just looking at the leaderboard, Sam Ryder leads at 12 under par, 3 shots clear of Brendan Steele at 9 under. Not a great leaderboard in terms of names. Max Homa's at -6. Jason Day at -5. Colin Morikawa at -5. Tom Hoagie not playing in this event. He'll be playing next week when he defends his championship at Pebble Beach. We got to go. Thanks to our guests today, to Logan Campbell, Rachel Herzog, Jason Petrino, of course, to my dad. If you missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at InForum.com. Hope everybody has a great weekend. We'll see you back here on Monday on Hot Mic on WDAY Extra and InForum.com.